I've photographed a lot of cars over the years for various car magazines, and it is one of my favorite subjects. There are some basic rules that you can follow to make your car photo stand out. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I always like to do when photographing cars is to use a polarizer. This will help to reduce reflections and glare from the paintwork, and also reduce any reflections and glare from the windows. Now there's two ways that you can shoot towards the glass and get rid of the reflections, or you can use the reflections to add a bit of an effect to your image. It really depends on the look that you're going for. The main reason why I like to use a polarizer is because it really makes the colors pop. It makes the paintwork really sparkle and shine. And this is especially true for dark-colored cars. If you want to find out more about how a polarizer works, you can watch a previous video where this topic is covered in more detail. Before taking any photographs, I always like to get my microfiber cloth and get the car nice and clean. This is especially true for inside shots. You don't want any fingerprints on the glass or any dust on the seats. For outside shots, it does depend on the look that you're going for. Sometimes a dirty car can actually add character to the shot, especially if the car is a classic car. Also, I would always like to see if there's any leaves or any debris on the bodywork, because this can also add character to the shot. Once the car is clean and tidy, I would then start by taking photos of the inside of the car. And the reason why I do this is because it is less disturbing for others around. If you start by taking the inside first, people around the vehicle are less likely to be in the way or try and sneak into the shot. When photographing the interior, there are many different things that you can photograph. You can do close-up shots of the seats, the steering wheel, the gear stick, or you can take wider shots to include more of the interior. And this is where having a good understanding of composition comes in. Composition is how you arrange the elements in your shot. And this is especially important for inside shots where you might have a lot of lines and shapes that need to be considered. Try and keep it simple and focus on one part of the interior at a time. Don't try and cram too much in because this can make the photo look messy. Once you've done all the interior shots, you can then move outside and start taking exterior shots. Now there are so many different angles that you can take when photographing the exterior of a car. One thing that I would always try and do is to take some shots from low down. Get right down to the floor and try and take some shots looking up at the car. These types of shots really make the car look mean and aggressive, and it is something a bit different from the usual car shots that you see. Now once you've got some low-level shots, you can then move on to taking some more traditional shots from eye level. And one tip that I have for this is to try and find some interesting lines and shapes within the car, and try and incorporate them into your composition. Now while most cars are symmetrical, try and look for things that break the symmetry because this can make for a more interesting composition. For example, you could have a wing mirror or a door handle that breaks the symmetry of the car. And this can create a more dynamic and interesting composition. When photographing cars, I always like to create a sense of movement. Now this can be difficult to do, especially if the car isn't moving. But there are a few things that you can do to create this sense of movement. Have the car driven slowly, but using a slow shutter speed can make to look much quicker. This is easier said than done, but with a bit of practice you can get some great results. Now this is a bit more risky because you might end up with a blurry shot if you don't get it right. But if you do get it right, you can create a really cool effect. Most car photographers might use a wide-angle lens. I would also recommend using a telephoto lens. A telephoto lens will allow you to compress the car and bring it closer to the background. This can create a really cool effect, and it can also help to make the car look faster. You can also use a telephoto lens to isolate part of the car. This can be useful if you want to focus on a particular feature of the car, such as the wheels or the spoiler. Just remember to keep the rule of thirds in mind when doing this. The rule of thirds is a composition rule that states that you should place your subject off-center in the frame rather than in the middle. By placing your subject off-center, you create a more interesting composition that is more pleasing to the viewer. I think one of the best times to photograph cars is during the golden hour. The golden hour is the hour after sunrise and the hour before sunset. During this time, the sun is low in the sky and the light is soft and even. This is ideal for photographing cars as it creates long shadows and a sense of depth. If you're stuck indoors and can't get natural light, you can use continuous lighting. Continuous lighting is where you use artificial lights to light your scene. This is a great option if you're stuck indoors or if you want to experiment with different looks. There are a variety of different lights that you can use for continuous lighting. Some popular options include LED panels and strobes. Think about this if you are asked to photograph cars in showrooms, for example, or garages. If you want to take your car photography to the next level, you can add a model to your car photos. This can be a friend or family member. Or you can hire a model. Having a model in your photos can add a sense of scale and also add a human element to your photos. When photographing a model with a car, it is important to make sure that they are interacting with the car in some way. This will help to create a more natural and engaging composition. For example, the model could be sitting in the car or they could be walking towards it. Now I hope you enjoyed this video and hopefully you learned something new. If you did, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.